Yeah. Good thing it was last year.
All right, good morning, Rabbi. Oh, good morning, doctor. Drive carefully. Okay, good morning, Rabbi. Today's daf is Bava Basra daf Nun Aleph. Nun Aleph, 51. We are starting at the very bottom of Nun Amud Beis. Last word, 2 lines from the bottom, Gufa, or second line from the bottom, Gufa. So this morning, we are going to finish off the sugya of the Lo Leish Chazaka B'nichsei Ishto. At the top of Nun Aleph Amud Aleph, we are going to move to the sugya, no thank you, of the Lo Leisha B'nichsei Baila. So just to finish off yesterday's sugya, Gufa, Amar Rav. Rav taught the following: Ein machzikim b'nichsei eishes ish. No one can have a chazaka. No one has the right to be machzik, the property of an eishes ish. V'dayane gola amru machzikin. But the dayane gola, who the Rashbam identifies based on the Gemara in Sanhedrin as Shmuel and Karna, they paskin that yes, somebody else, we're not talking about the husband here, can have a chazaka in the property of a married woman. Amar Rav, the same Rav who argues with the Dayane Gola, halacha kedayane Gola. So how can that be? Amr le Rav Kana Ravasi l'Rav Hadar be'mar mishmaisei. So Rav Kana and Ravasi asked Rav, this seems to be a sira. Have you reversed yourself from your original position? Amar lahu mistabra amri kid Reb Yosef. So Rav says, really, it's similar. I really paskin like Rav Yosef. Now, we need the Rashbam to explain this Gemara because, first of all, Rav lived many, many generations prior to Rav Yosef. Rav Tanahu Pali. So we say that Rav was the first generation of Amoraim and has the status occasionally of a Tana. So how can it be that he's arguing with Rav Yosef, who lived holding by Rav Yosef, who lived generations later? So the Rashbam explains that what he means is that he considers his position a little bit more nuanced. Rav Yosef held earlier that we're talking about a case where the woman started to have chazaka in the property of her husband, and then he died. She needs to go 3 full years with chazaka before anybody, in order to prevent anybody else from taking that land. So when Rav says,
Whose land was it? It was her land?
It was his land and she was machzik. We're still in the sugya of the wife cannot have chazaka in, excuse me, the other way around. We're still in the sugya of a man cannot have chazaka in the property of his wife. So when Rav says you cannot have a chazaka in the nechasim of an eishes ish, it means when she started to use her husband's land when he was alive, he dies. She stays in that land and uses it for 3 years. She gets to keep it. So that's what Rav was positing in this more nuanced position of Rav Yosef. Okay,
we're not talking about her land. It was his.
We are talking about her land.
Her land.
It's hers because he died, and she was machzik.
After 3 years.
After 3 years, it's hers.
Nice.
But only once, if she started using it when he was alive, he died, she sticks around life for 3 years, then it's hers, because he's not in the picture anymore. Okay, 2 dots. So the Mishnah said that a woman cannot have a chazaka in the land of her husband, in the property of her husband. Shita. The Gemara says, of course that's the case. Given the Islam Mizone, since he is obligated to provide her for mizonos, food from this land. She's only there because we give her the rights of mizonos. She can't have a chazaka in this land. The Gemara says no. So the Gemara says no. That's talking about a case where he actually had another piece of land that she also had access to. And the chiddush of the Gemara is that even if he has a second piece of land, aside from the one that he specified for her to have mizonos, the chiddush is that she does not have a chazaka in that other land. So now, similar to the Gemara we had yesterday, the implication of the Gemara is that while she may not be able to have the kinyan chazaka in this land, haraya yesh. But let's say she has a shtar, and she has a raya. That means that if she has a raya that she made a kinyan, then she can 100% acquire his land. So the Gemara says, Lema, ligluyi zuzihu dabai. So, but why can't the husband claim, hey, I don't really mean to sell it to her. I'm just trying to figure out if she's got some hidden money somewhere that I'm not aware of, and she's hiding it from me. So therefore, I'm going to offer her to sell her my land, she's going to be, oh, that's a great idea. Here's the $10,000 you asked me. Like, where did you get that money from? You're hiding that money from me. So maybe this is not a valid sale. So by virtue of the fact that the Gemara doesn't say this, so maybe since the Gemara didn't offer that possibility, that the husband can call her out on the fact that maybe she's hiding this money, so maybe that if he does sell her the land, Kansa, maybe she can acquire it. Then we don't say that Luglu uses her to buy. So the Gemara says low.
She could have inherited that money.
That's different. We're talking about a case where he tries to sell it to her. If she inherits the land, we're actually going to get to that on top of the base.
Inherited the money to buy the piece of land.
Maybe. But he has the right for the payers of everything she inherits. The Gemara is going to talk about this on top of the base. So the Gemara says low. Ema haraya yesh b'shtar matana. So the Gemara says no. Maybe the only time that there's a raya that works when she has a shtar is not a shtar mecher, it's a shtar matana. Amar le Rav Nachman the Rav Huna lo hava mar gaban beursa betchuma the amrina milim el yasa. So Rav Nachman says to Rav Huna, hey Rav Huna, you weren't in the Beis Medrash last night, and why is the Beis Medrash referred to as a tchum? Rashbam explains because they used to situate the Batei Medrash at the edge of the town, so that people from the surrounding villages could still get there and be within their own tchum Shabbos. So Rav Nachman says to Rav Huna, hey Rav Huna, you were in the Beis Medrash last night. We were saying some amazing chidushim. So Amar Lei, so Rav Huna says back to Rav Nachman, my milim al yasa amrisu. What was the big chiddush you said in the Beis Medrash? So says Rav Nachman back to Rav Huna. So Rav Nachman says the chiddush is that somebody can sell a field to his wife, and we don't assume that he's only trying to figure out if she's got money that she's hiding under a mattress somewhere, and the sale is valid. So Amar Lei, so Rav Huna says back to Rav Nachman, Shita. Well, that's obvious. Why wouldn't that be the case? Leave the money out of it for a second. If she has a valid shtar, why wouldn't the sale be valid? Why wouldn't that be a valid proof that she owns the field? Milo Tanan, don't we learn don't we learn that karka, land, which is a nechas that has achrayas, don't we learn that it can be acquired bekasef, uvishtar, uvechazaka? And the language of the Gemara, the way this is worded, means that it can be acquired with either kesef or shtar or chazaka individually. You don't need a combination, so the shtar should work. Amar Lei, Rav Nachman says back to Rav Huna, didn't Shmuel teach that this is only the case in a shtar matana? When a shtar mecher doesn't work unless money changes hands. So Rav Huna retorts back to Rav Nachman. Rav Hamnuna, didn't Rav Hamnuna ask on that very point, b'shtar ketzad, how does the shtar work? That you can write a shtar on paper, or you can etch it into pottery. Even though the actual shtar itself has no real value, piece of paper is not worth a pruta. A scrap piece of clay is not worth a pruta. But if you write in that shtar, that if you write it, even though the item that you're giving, which is physically the shtar, it still works, and the kinyan is valid. So then why does money need to change hands? So Rav Nachman says back to Rav Huna Vilavi. That's not the case, because most of didn't Rav Hamnuna, who made that statement, ask on that and answer his own question? What case are we talking about there, where money does not need to change hands and the mecher is good with a shtar only? This field is in such bad shape, he'll do literally anything to get rid of it. And if that's the case, then in a regular case of mecher, where the field actually has value, says Rav Hamnuna, in answer to his own question, that the only time that mecher works is where you have a shtar and where money changes hands. Now, on this statement of Shmuel that we just quoted, that lo shona ela b'shtar matana, ava b'shtar mecher lo kana ad shiftin lo dambeha, Rav Ashi says the following: Rav Ashi Amar b'matana, when then the guy writes to another person a shtar matana, bikesh litne lo, he really wants to give it to him as a matana. Well, then why, if I give Alan my house as a matana, he doesn't want me to write it as a matana. He wants me to write it as a shtar mecher. Why is that? So let's say somebody comes to make a claim on my house that I've given to Alan as a matana. If they come and make a claim and say, it's a matana, you didn't pay anything for it, you're not mafsid, give me the field back. Howard owes me money. But if it's written as a mechira, then he's got his strength against my balchov is much, much stronger. Now, so Gemara asks, let's say I take a loan from my eved, and then I free that eved, mina isha, or somebody takes a loan from his wife, bigirsha, and he divorces them, ein lahem alav klum. They have no taina against him to get that money back. Why not? My time, don't we say that loan was not a real loan? He was just trying to figure out, maybe my eved or maybe my wife is hiding money from me. I really have rights to that money, at least to the payros. So why don't we say that that's the reason? So shiny hasam. So we say no. It's different from a mecher. Shiny hasam because people, if they can at all avoid it, they don't want to be in a position of owing somebody else money. But a mecher, that's different. I'm proud. I worked hard. I saved my $10, and I'm going to go back and pay. I'm going to go buy a pack of baseball cards. I don't want to have to borrow money from you to afford what I need. I want to be able to buy it for myself. So Shalach Rav Huna bar Avin sent the following: that if a person sells his field to his wife, she acquires it. Top of Rama Bays, Ubal Ochel Peiros. And if he sells the field to his wife, she acquires it. And anything she acquires, we know that he rather, has the rights to the fruits of that field. Biram, however, Rabbi Abba, that in contrast to the statement of Rav Huna bar Avin, Rabbi Abba and Rabbi Avo and all of the Gedolei Ador said, "B'matana bikesh litnu la." This was not really a mecher. Excuse me. This is not really a mecher. It's a matana. The lama kosla bla lishum mecher. So why did he write it to her in the lashon of a mecher? Just like we said, by the amalva me'avdo kidei liafos kocha. Really, he wanted her to have it as a matana. Why did he write it as a mecher? To give her a stronger claim if somebody, if one of the husbands, Baalei Chov, comes to her to claim that that's his land. Meisive, so we now ask on this. Lova mina eved v'shicharo mina isha v'garsha ein lahav alam klum. My time alam mishum da'amri liblu yuzuzahu deba. So in that case that we quoted at the bottom of Amid Aleph, and are repeating here now, that why don't we say why do we say that when somebody borrows money from an eved and then frees him, or from his wife and divorces her, that they don't know that he does not owe them any money? Because that wasn't really a lova in the first place. He was just trying to see if they were hiding money from him. So why can't the same be? Why can't the same be when a man tries to sell a field to his wife? Why can't we say he didn't really mean it as a mecher? He just wanted to see if she was hiding money from him. Answers the Gemara, because a mecher is different. A mecher, everybody, I'm comfortable buying something from you, but I certainly don't want to borrow money from you. So that's why the case of a lova is different. In a lova, we say that's not really a lova, but in the case of mecher, we say the mecher goes through, because there's no concept in the case of mecher of the lo lishvi inish eved love leish malda. Amara.
There's something I don't understand. If a person buys a piece of land,
Yes.
they are clients,
Yes.
then a balcony can come to the person who bought that piece of land and say, I have a prior claim.
Yeah, but that claim is even stronger if it's a matana. Because you come to me and say, listen, Howard, if I owed you $1,000, but I had previously sold my field to Alan, at the very least, he has recourse. He can be like, but I spent money. He can come back and get the money from me. But in a matana, he didn't pay for it. So his claim against me is far weaker. So he has no recourse in a matana. But in a mecher, his position is much stronger, both Lagabi the Balchov, because at least you can duke it out and based in, and with me, the original mocher, because you gave me money for that field. In a matana, he has no rights. It was a gift. It dropped on him out of the blue. It didn't cost him nothing. He's not mafsid one way or the other. So his claim to the Balchov and his claim to the giver of the matana, nothing. He's just a much stronger position when it's a mecher. In a chanami, he has to give it back, but he can claim from the giver, from the mocher.
Oh, okay.
That's the difference. Okay. Amar Rav. Hamocher, so we are about 7-8 lines down. Amar Rav Hamocher suddenly ishto kansa. The habal ochel peros. That if his field to his wife, that deal goes through, and the husband can eat the peros. Bimatana kansa ve'inabal ochel peros. But if he gives it to her as a matana, it's hers free and clear, and he has no right to the peros of that field. The Rabbi Elazar Amar, Rabbi Elazar in contradistinction to Rav, his Rebbe, which is going to be an issue in a second. Amar, Rabbi Elazar is an Amora because he lived after Rav. That's Rabbi Eliezer, right? And Rabbi Elazar. This is an Amora. We know it's an Amora because, as Rashbam explains, Rabbi Elazar is a Talmud of Rav, which means that automatically he's an Amora. So Rabbi Elazar Amar echad zeh ve'echad zeh kansa ve'ina ba'al ochel peros. Whether he sells it to his wife or he gives it to her as a matana, it's hers free and clear, and he has absolutely no rights. He, the husband, has no rights to the peros in that field. Oven Rav Chisda Ugda to Rabbi Elazar. So Rav Chisda paskind like Rabbi Elazar. Again, that in the case of a sale or a matana from a husband to a wife, the husband has no rights to the peros in that field, none whatsoever. Amrulei Rabbi Nukva Rabbi Nechemia b'nei Bansi de Rav. So Rabbi Nukva and Rabbi Nechemia, the grandsons of Rav, they were the sons of his daughter. They said to Rav Chisda, who paskin like Rabbi Elazar, Shavik Marav Rabbi Gavin Kizutri. Are you bypassing the great one, Rav, and going like the so-called lesser one? Rashbam explains, Rabbi Elazar, the Amora, was the Talmud of Rav. Kitanu Pali. So why aren't you paskening like Rav? You're leaving away our grandfather and paskening like his Talmud? My high, how can you do that? Amar Lehem. So Rav Chisda said back to the grandsons of Rav, Ananami Rabbi Riyavdi. I'm also paskening like some big guns. Who are they? The Chiyasu Rabbi Amar Rabbi Yochanan. He said, I'm paskening like Rabbi Yochanan. Because when Ravin came from Eretz Yisrael, he said the following in Rabbi Yochanan's name. Just like he paskened, like Rabbi Elazar, the Amora, that in a case where a husband sold or gave a field to his wife, he then loses all rights to the peros. Amara, a perplexing statement from Rava, Hilchasa. The halacha is, and we bring this down in Shulchan Aruch Eben Ezer, Siman, Pei, Seif, Tes, Hamocher Sadali Ishto Lo Kansa, that if a person sells his field to his wife, she does not acquire it, which means she has no right whatsoever to it, and the husband gets everything. And the second half of his statement, V'habal ochel peros. Now, if a bal ochel peros, that seems to imply that what? She acquired it. I asked the Gemara, and then the end of the statement, but if he gives it to her as a matana, she gets it, and the husband gets nothing. So the Gemara asks immediately, Tante, it's hard to disassociate. The first half of Rav's statement of Hilchasa are two statements that contradict each other. Either she acquires it, and he has peros, or she doesn't acquire it, and he gets everything. So which is it? Lo kasha, says the Gemara. No kasha. We're talking about two different cases. Kan b'mos tumunin, kan b'mos she'inu tumunin. When the money is hidden, the sale does not go through because we say that it's only the husband trying to figure out if the wife is hiding stuff from him. But when the mos she'in tumunin, so when the money is not hidden, and she's like, oh yeah, here's my 10 grand, and it's been available all along, and he's aware of it, then the sale goes through, and the Baal ochel peros. Rabbi Yehuda, mos tumunin lo kansa, mos she'inu tumunin kansa. So just like we said in the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda, the Amora, that when the money is hidden and the husband has no idea where that money might be coming from, then we say that he's just trying to figure out where she's hiding the dough. But when there's money that's obvious and available, then the sale goes through. Adkan, tomorrow we'll pick up by the Tanur Rabbanan. Have a wonderful day. Doctor, see you tomorrow.